It's a busy time for everyone, obviously, at Cicero with a general election on, but particularly for those of my colleagues that, along with their day job of being consultants, are also political activists. And Daisy Peck and Dan Julian on opposite sides of the aisle on this one. Daisy for the Conservatives, Dan Labour. But they've also been having a look for our clients at the way in which the two parties run the machine at the heart of the operation, but also the implications of that out in the for local activists out in the region. So, Daisy, first of all, take me through what the machinery for the Conservatives looks like, and then we'll see how Labour compares to it.
Okay, so for the Conservatives, it's a quite top-heavy machine. So it's a lot of political appointments. It starts with the Prime Minister. He appoints a party chairman. There are a national convention, but that's sort of the parliament of the party. But actually, when it comes to elections, the direct power really lies with the Prime Minister and the party chairman. Central office, it's full of a lot of political appointments. The big name this year is Isaac Levido, who is a political appointment by Boris Johnson, just fresh off the Australian Prime Minister's campaign. What that means, though, is that we get a lot of turnover between elections. So there's a lot of new faces. It's a totally different team writing the manifesto for this election than it was in 2017. And we also tend to use a lot of consultants as well. So we've got a fresh New Zealand digital team who've been brought in, and lots of new faces, lots of very professional people being brought in,
right.
And not so much of the larger and sort of member-driven central office as Dan will, I'm sure, talk about.
Is Labour very different?
Labour is on the basis that sort of the institutions of the party, while they are in Millbank and Westminster like the Tories, a lot more of the campaigns is done locally and through regions. It's sort of head offices in Labour, obviously they will set the strategy and have sort of been taken over by the Leader of the Opposition's office. But the command structures within Southside, as it is known, sort of are a lot more linked to the local members and the local parties, and so you will have teams of sort of the Leader of the Opposition's office moving across, like they used to do under New Labour, where but you will see less of the kind of command and control that you used to see back then, or in the Tory party, for example, and you will have the sort of the professional staff that will still run the day-to-day campaigning, will select the target seats, will sort of manage the campaign managers on the ground, and so on.
And what about what Daisy was saying about shipping in digital experts from New Zealand or new faces and putting together a sort of kaleidoscopic campaign architecture? With Labour, is it more stable?
It is, mainly because the professional party in Southside normally stays the same between election cycles, and the team closer to the leader or the Prime Minister of the day comes in mainly to look at the national campaign and the big beasts in the party, so normally the leader, the Shadow Chancellor. But media advisors and pollsters don't tend to do as well. David Axelrod was recently brought in by Ed Miliband and had very little impact. And so it tends to be a lot more sort of within already the party structures, which have now been completely taken over by Corbyn loyalists.
So they're all familiar faces, really?
Absolutely, especially if you're an activist or already a campaign manager on the ground, you will know the director of campaigns, Neil Suka, who's a big Corbyn friend, and sort of the whole operation there will have been there over the last few years, giving that kind of institutional knowledge that you might not get necessarily with a Conservative
Well, let's
party.
take a look from the other end of the telescope then, from the people pounding the streets and knocking on the doorsteps in the freezing cold of November and soon to be December. What's it like on the Tory side?
So I suppose differently to how we've got a lot of top-down control at central office, one thing the Conservative Party does take really seriously are its field campaigners. So as well as having a very well-powered central office, there's a lot of investment that goes into the field staff. The Conservative Party, learning from its mistakes in 2017, actually started recruiting their campaign managers straight off the bat back in 2017. So there's now a very well-trained and experienced network of campaign managers working for the Conservative Party in each of their target seats.
How does that compare on the Labour side?
In that respect, it's very similar. You will have a constituency Labour Party employing maybe directly a field organiser on the ground, but there is a lot more of an overall structure on a regional basis where you will have regional organisers who are the line managers effectively, as you will be, of the local campaign, who might be working directly with the candidate or the MP who's standing for reselection.
Okay, and what else stands out?
Another one of the key differences, again with the Conservative Party, is that even on a local level, it's quite a lot of direct control by the candidates and their campaign managers. So you don't really have this big group from the association being brought in to support them.
I'd say with the Labour Party, as we were saying, there's more of a sort of regional focus as well. So the regional director, the regional comms director, and the regional organisers will be a lot more involved with the local campaigns, because they will be able to link both the sort of the national campaign at Southside and the local campaigns on the ground. So bringing together, whether it's shadow cabinet visits, whether it's funding, whether it's activist resources and moving people around, because they operate on a smaller scale and will be able to look at maybe only a dozen target seats that they need to focus on, and that sort of they provide the overall strategic.
Let me ask you about, in this election context, because it is unusual, December, a December election. Does that, from your experience, is campaigning pretty much the same any time of year, or does this present any particular challenges?
There are definitely challenges on the ground at the moment. The biggest one is the dark. It's a lot harder to get people to open their doors in the first instance, and they don't want to keep them open and let all the heat out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why the Labour Party can rely on a lot of activists through, for example, Momentum, who are trying to sort of move away from just the door knocking and have specific people that will look at clips of shadow cabinet ministers on the Today programme or sort of the Politics Live, and will send them across to sort of the national Momentum organisation that then sort of puts them on their social media to try and hit different voters at different times during the day. And they sort of are moving away from just, as you say, door knocking after work, because it gets dark so soon that it's very difficult to get buy-in at the same
I guess
time.
at least the good thing from your point of view, if you're not trying to get things done quickly on the doorstep, is you have a nice simple Brexit message.
Well, I think
just teasing you.
Absolutely, but that's where the constructive ambiguity allows candidates who are in more Remain areas to say, "I'm a Remain candidate, I'm your People's Vote candidate," whoever, or more Leave areas say, "Well, I support maybe a Labour Brexit." So there might be a bit of obfuscation happening on the grounds with the campaigns there.
Okay, well, go on.
Well, one of the ways I think that we found is a difference in how the parties have adapted to overcoming this change is with the tools that they've got. So when knocking on doors isn't your sort of main effort anymore, lots more effort goes into the digital campaign, but actually there's plenty of other types of campaigning. There's a lot more targeting happening, and one of the things that we found actually is that when it comes to the systems, the digital systems that the parties have got going behind the scenes, so we've got a system called VoteSource in the Conservative Party.
Labour still use Contact Tracer, which still only works on Internet Explorer. But
So the Conservatives have got this kind of custom-built digital system that's really allowing them to nail the targeting of key voters and make sure that every one of those contacts that you do get on the doorstep or pieces of leaflets that you can get through the door does really matter.
Okay.
Labour have been playing catch up because VoteSource is such a unique, was built for the 2015 campaign, so Labour have tried to do the same but in different ways, complementing what they already have to try and get to the same level, really.
Okay, look, thanks. It's really it's fascinating, that insight. Really appreciate it, and good luck to both of you, and wrap up warm.
Yeah, thank you very much.